All right, hey, let's talk about rules. Talk about following rules, breaking rules, compliance, why we do that, what that's about. The shoulds, the shoulds that we all have, either coming in externally or coming in internally from within ourselves. The supposed tos, supposed to do this, be this way, act this way. So what I'm here posing to you here is the idea of breaking rules. And you can't break rules that you haven't bought into. You just simply don't follow. But there's a lot of rules that we have either unconsciously bought into or consciously. We have consciously bought into them. So if we're going to choose to break rules and or examine a new choice point around following and breaking rules, we have to understand why. What might we get out of that? What might we lose? Why did we buy in the first place? So I want to throw out a few things and ideas for you to consider around stuff that you've been trained that you're supposed to do, around love, around spending money, around experiencing joy or pleasure. How are you supposed to treat your career, your work, your job? And or how do you supposed to approach drinking alcohol or enjoying any other type of altered state? How are you supposed to behave around genders or the opposite sex or whatever your construct is around that? How are you supposed to treat your body? How are you supposed to treat other people's bodies? Or how are you supposed to treat or be with any other thing that you want to fill in the blank here? So the idea here is that we're not living life to the fullest, or we're missing out by conforming to every rule out there that we're supposed to. And is that still worth it? Is what you're getting out of that enough for you to continue to comply with something that may not necessarily be in allegiance or in alliance with, or congruent with who you are as a person today? So I'm going to drop a little thing in here and I'm going to talk about it later, but I think so many of us have been taught a lot of these things through religion. And I'm going to take a deeper dive into that later. But for now, I just want to have you look at where we learn to behave and think and make choices in certain ways and live according to a basic framework that we believe will have us be fulfilled, happy, and belong. It will bring us love and joy, and that we finally find ourselves up at this edge or this cliff or this threshold where it's not working. And I assume every single one of us has some experience with coming up to that threshold and seeing that the thing that I thought would bring me joy is actually the thing that's inhibiting it. And we could even find ourselves judging others against the rules we've accepted for ourselves. So we project onto them that they should be following a rule that we ourselves follow, but don't necessarily believe we should. Yeah, so think about that. That happens all the time. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm reaching that age now. All right, I'm 45, where I'm starting to feel this separation between younger people, teenagers, young people in their 20s, young men, women, whatever. And I'm starting to look at how they're making decisions, and I'm looking at how if they choose these things in these certain ways, it will have negative impacts. It will impact them poorly later on in their lives. And I'm doing this because I have judgments about the choices I've made. And for the most part, I'm glad I am who I am. I've made the choices I've made. It's had me wind up being the person I am today. And for the most part, I'm happy about that. But sometimes I forget and I'm not. And then I want to do all these things and shape reality and have people, me be in control of other people's choices, mostly in my imagination, so that their life will be good for them later, which is bullshit. So I want you to begin to wonder what happens when we start questioning those rules and testing the assumed benefits of them. Is there a possibility that we become more free or more fulfilled or something around that? So here's another little rule that just kind of sneaks in there. Example for you. So I have a 9 to 5 job, basically, pretty much. But there's times where I'm out during the day or I'm on vacation and I look around at all of the people that are out. And my wife has said this, over the years, that she'll say, what are all these kids doing? Kids should be in school. And that's where that is. That's where the rule slips in, where there's this thing that kids are supposed to be doing something in compliance with her framework in order for them to have a type of life that they're supposed to have. And what I'm presenting, what I presented to her, and what I have to present myself with, and what I'm presenting you with is what if we have that wrong? And what if living life to the fullest in every moment and finding beautiful experiences throughout life creates a person that has blank of this thing that you want or I want? And what if it isn't about conserving everything and doing everything you can and working your ass off now and denying yourself of any pleasure now, and you're saving it for 20 years later? So I see that there's a balance, there's a benefit to that, there's a benefit to balance in things. And I talk about balance, I talk about harmony, but what if perhaps the balance isn't where I judge it should be, or you judge it should be? And about moving those lines. It's about examining, updating, and moving those lines of the shoulds and the supposed tos, and that this means this around these rules. So here's the deeper opportunity for you. What are some of the rules that you've lived by that you could spend some time questioning? And maybe you don't even know that you're living by rules, and so it's about discovering those rules and getting clear on what those are and bringing them into the consciousness first before you can even question them. Because if you're unhappy, and I'm unhappy, and it's because I haven't examined me being in compliant with a rule that I don't know I follow, I got some work to do. I got some work to do there. So the next question here is, which of those are you going to choose to break? Are you going to choose to go against them and break them and test them over the next month in an experiment with how you can create different impacts from that? It is risky. Maybe you should be following those rules and you find that out. But maybe there's a lot more joy and fulfillment and pleasure and happiness on the other side of that you're missing out on. So the last question for you here is, what other benefits are you looking to gain by breaking the rules? Because rules are made to be broken. They are. Some rules are good. Standards are good. It's important to do things in compliance with things from time to time, or even most of the time. But a lot of this, and this blog is about breaking the rules that don't apply, that actually don't apply. We've bought into them, and we shouldn't anymore. So that's what I got for you. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.